Hey guys, we are live.
Greetings, Aquarians. It is a pleasure to see you all again. Come on, let's get some messages in the chat. How are you guys doing this December? I know you missed us all.
GM, hi. Great to meet you all. I'm Kirsten.
Yes, we have an honored guest today, Miss Kirsten Pomales, and you will all get to know her. Let me look at the chat. Come on, I want to see some energy today, guys. 24 people in the audience. There we go. There we go. We're getting some messages. That's what we like to see. Okay, guys. So today we have quite a heavy amount of topics to cover. And I don't want to keep you guys out too late. So basically, we'll open up with a recap on our impact over the past quarter. And then we'll segue that into a little segment about Kirsten. She'll introduce herself, and you guys will have a Q&A with her. And then after that, we'll give you all the second half, which is our protocol updates and everything that's going into December and Q1 of 2026. So I want to let you guys know all that. And just one thing to note, we have a lot of updates. We're going to have about 2 AMAs. So this is the end of year AMA, but then in January, there's going to be an AMA featuring Sarah, where she'll outline everything regarding institutional UN connections and whatnot. So here we go, guys. Let's get into it. We got a lot to go in. And yes. Yeah, Kirsten, they love your poster.
Yay, I'm glad they like it.
Yes. Okay, Mache, let's get this show on the road. So, next slide, please. Or first slide.
Yep, let me transition.
Are the slides shown on YouTube?
They are. They see this. They see it all. So let's go to the first slide. Should be pictures. Okay, everyone. So when looking at our impact check-in here, we spent these last few months doing our largest cleanup ever in Mabushi village in Abuja, Nigeria, guys. So we just want to recap for you all who haven't been keeping up in the chat. Aquari basically launched our largest cleanup ever, second to the one that we performed in Mumbai and in India all those years ago. This is the first time we're doing everything fully at scale without any partnerships like how we did in India years ago. So Aquari's spent the time R&Ding our own internal cleanup capabilities, and this is a scaled result. So as you see here is before and after. Mache, you can go to the next slide just so they can see more of that. Yeah, there should be two cleanup slides. I don't know which one we're on right now. So yes, everyone. Yeah, you see the second one. Perfect. So yes, this is a big scale, guys. I don't know if you were able to keep track when we were sharing things in Telegram, but yeah, it was big. And there will be more content regarding this cleanup coming out. It's just, it takes time for post-production teams to edit everything. We had a total of 5 post-production teams documenting this event from all angles. We have countless interviews. We have like 15 interviews, et cetera, et cetera. So all of that content is being outlined, and we are strategically going to use that content in pushing out our outreach with the global partnerships that Kirsten will be bringing in, and Sarah when it comes to the UN and UNICEF. So yes, it's a lot. It's a lot, but I think this is the beginning of something new, guys. Like, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? I want to read the chat real quick. What are your thoughts on this Mabushi cleanup, this scale? I'm going to assume the chat is not going through. So yeah. Oh, there we
I
go.
can see it.
I can see it too.
Oh, I see the chat. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I think it's just the delay. So yes, guys, we did good, but we can only do more. This is only the beginning. We made it through. So Matcha, you can go into the next slide. Now, guys, we're going to get into our Aquari organization updates. And one of the biggest news is we want to bring on Kirsten, because a lot of the connections that you've heard over the past few months that we've been making, they've been facilitated through Kirsten. And Kirsten has gotten to know core team very well over the past few months. And we were able to form a very strong partnership and roadmap ahead for all of you in our time in Buenos Aires together and in Miami. So, Kirsten, I would love for you to take on the stage and introduce to yourself. Masha, you can bring on her introduction card.
Oh, I will. The introduction card was visible for quite a while. I brought us up to the video feed.
Beautiful. That's good.
Sweet. All right. Thanks, guys. Pleasure to meet you all. Glad I can finally chat with you. So my name's Kirsten, and I just recently joined Aquari as an advisor on global partnerships. So I'll jump in first to a bit about my background. So my first career was working as a lobbyist in the United States. So I worked for different industry groups across tech and energy policy, and also worked with the current vice president of the U.S. back when he was just working in Ohio on different policy initiatives. And I ended up leaving the policy world for blockchain in 2018 because I thought that blockchain was actually a better way to solve a lot of the problems that we experience globally, as opposed to trying to fix like existing broken systems using politics. So basically, in 2018, I started working on enterprise banking blockchain projects. And over the course of the past years, I've had two VC-backed blockchain protocol startups. And they were actually working on areas that were kind of similar to what Aquari was doing. So the moment that I saw Aquari, I was like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely incredible, because Cameron and Mache have been able to do what I always dreamed was possible, but could never figure out myself, despite lots of hard work. So now I'm here to bring the knowledge and connections and everything to try to support the team. So in addition to my work as a lobbyist and then, working on different projects in the blockchain space for the past 8 years, I've also done a lot of grants work in the European Union. So my last startup received hundreds of thousands of dollars in EU innovation grants, special statuses for programs, stuff like that. So that's also going to be an area that I'm going to be helping out on Aquari with. And yeah, so that's like a bit about my background. Happy to answer any questions or dive into more detail there. But I also wanted to share a little bit about what we have planned, as far as like, what I'm going to be working on, and what I have been working on in the past months, and then also 2026. So one of the key areas of work is just marketing and messaging strategy. So this is both relating to marketing partnerships with major ecosystems, both in the blockchain space as well as more general like geopolitics and geo world, as well as making sure that the messaging and everything around how Aquaria is positioned aligns with what investors want, partners want, etc. Um, in addition to that, particularly with the European Union grant stuff, as well as some United Nations grant stuff, there are basically all of these lists of programs that I have access to that are constantly being updated. So one of the things that we're going to be doing in Q1 is going through all of these big archives of these programs and seeing which ones Aquarius qualifies for, sorting through, and then actually managing the applications, going through the process. I do believe that the kind of work that Aquari is doing is very well positioned for these sorts of grants. So I expect lots of good news there upcoming. These grant programs can take a while to get back to us. So, after applications, usually you're waiting, 3 to 6 months to hear back on next stages. But very bullish on that happening at some point in 2026, I would say. And then finally, just general strategic partnerships. So this can range from investments, media partnerships, other sort of support with different like chain ecosystems, other organizations. Um, as Cameron mentioned, like you guys have heard about some of the things that I brought in. I'm not really 100% sure like what things are public and what are not. So, I'll just leave that up in the air for now. But got a lot of exciting things on the horizon that you guys will be hearing about very soon. So
Thank
that's
you
what I
for
got. Happy to move into questions if you want.
Yes, please ask any questions that you would like. We'll give them time to get their minds going.
Have I invested in Aquari myself? Absolutely, I have, and a few of my friends.
That's what we call alignment. Yeah,
Alignment.
we'll give them some time because I'm sure the questions are going to be a bit
Yeah,
detailed.
usually there is some delay between when what's being shown on live stream and the questions. So
If you want, one of you can ask me a question while we're waiting for the delay to end.
good, Cedric Van. Good to have you on board. Looking forward to what partnership are you going to bring Aquari?
Indeed.
I would say Kirsten, like to be honest, when we first met and I first told you about Aquari, could you like tell the community specifically what it was that made us stand out to projects that like why did you like Aquari compared to other projects in the past that
Yeah,
like how do you say we're trying to do the same mission but maybe fell a
absolutely.
bit short.
So I don't know how long y'all have been in the blockchain ecosystem, but basically one of the very, very earliest things that people were trying to do using blockchain was human coordination. Because the idea was okay, we now have this ability to trustlessly organize humans, distribute payments, stuff like that, that has an obvious application on doing any sort of coordinated work. So this is talking about like, labor coordination in general, marketplaces of work, gig marketplaces, stuff like that. And both myself, as well as a lot of the people that we're talking to about potential partnerships, have been trying to do something similar to what Aquari did for like a decade. Ethereum's been around for 10 years now. This is one of like literally like the first projects that were built on Ethereum were these sorts of coordination protocols. And they failed for a lot of different reasons. I would say the main reason is because they were not pragmatic. They were trying to build technology, like they were going tech first, so that's one thing. They weren't doing the real on the ground hard work that is required to onboard people. They were building protocols and expecting other people to build apps, things like that. But what the Aquari team has done is really the exact opposite of that. I mean, they have gone on the ground, they have done the hard work, chosen a specific niche to start bootstrapping in. And that's something that, um, like, even outside of the labor coordination space, hasn't really been done. And that is exactly why all the organizations that I'm introducing them to are so excited about what they're doing. It's not just because of the impact, but it's because Aquari is most literally everyone's vision of what could be done, but what no one has been able to do because of bad incentives, like investor disalignment, going too hard on the tech first, not wanting to do the hard work, etc. So that is why I was quite shocked, honestly, like the first time that I talked to Cameron. And I was actually really, I was like drilling him with questions because I didn't even believe it at first. I was like, damn, like no one's done this successfully before. but they had been doing it successfully, and it's just been, over almost a year that I've known the guys now. It's just been getting more impressive. So it's still just the beginning. We know it's still just the beginning. But really, I think that the main thing that you guys are missing right now is just exposure. Like the people that are like holding the money, the power, the media, the connections in this industry don't know about you guys yet, but they're going to be knowing about you very soon, and that's really fucking exciting.
Well, thank you, Kirsten. And some questions actually came in. Um,
Let's go.
Monty, you wanted to say something?
Uh, I would totally do that if those were my chairs, but unfortunately, I don't have the right to do that.
Yes. So, the first question I see is, Kirsten, what are three most important factors Aquaria has in your opinion, which will help us to have public exposure?
Hmm. So, first one is you guys are doing real things with real outcomes. Like you actually have a working protocol that is providing a service that is generating value. And I know that sounds really fucking basic, but 95% of projects don't have that, especially outside of DeFi. Like right now, virtually the only blockchain projects that are providing any value are DeFi. And aside from that, there's basically nothing. So there's that. So that like from a narrative perspective, people like freaking love that. Second item, social impact. So sure, you guys could be like you could be applying this model to any sort of area of labor, but you guys are doing it in a sector that is it's really impactful. Like you're literally saving lives. Like people were praying for a quarry in Nigeria because you were cleaning up like malaria infested lands that had killed people's children and husbands. Like how much more like impactful can you get really? And you guys are doing it at just like a small scale now, but you know exactly what you need to be able to grow it. And that's like why this is a really exciting point in time that is one, like really great for storytelling, and two, just also very exciting for people to get involved in at this stage, I would say, because it's like getting in early essentially. Like, but from a narrative perspective, I mean, sure, also from an investment perspective, but mostly from like a narrative perspective. Because from an organizational standpoint, it's nice for teams, influential teams to like pick an underdog and then watch it grow. And here it's like it's obvious that this is not even an underdog, but for some reason people don't know about it, right? Like from the meta perspective. So yeah, I would say that's my answer there.
No, perfect, perfect. And then Zen, I will answer your questions, but because I think Mache and I are focused to answer your questions best, but we'll come back to you.
My apologies, I forgot that for stream I have to press the button because otherwise they won't hear me and I don't want to have audio overlay. Zend, starting from the beginning, yes, we definitely will be trying to attend as many crypto events as possible. We are already planning for ETH Denver, which is in March. And absolutely, we are going to do our best to basically max them out.
Yep.
And then, so yes, and I think Zen, she answered your question, how to make Aquaria a dream a reality everywhere. It's just getting exposure. We've been underground, we've been building the fundamentals, but we just need exposure. And
Mhm.
Miss Global Partnerships, she's the key to that. So the next question is
And Sarah also.
exactly, how do you get partnerships in Europe? America is massive impact enough. Good to hear about partnerships global.
How do you get partnerships in Europe? Well, I guess it's pretty much the same strategy applied to anywhere, but maybe the question is like, why me? So I'm like US Hungarian dual citizen. I've lived like for the past 5 years in Europe. I've had like my last few startups in Europe. Um, like obviously I like grew up in the States. I was working in politics in the US mostly, but since coming over to Europe, I've also done like a bit of contract lobbying here. I've done the EU grant stuff, etc. And as far as like how to make partnerships, well, essentially you just first identify the type of thing you need. So for Aquari's purpose, funding is great, but you also want to make sure it's aligned funding. So it's like funding that's not going to like, tell you what to do too much, funding that's going to allow you to just pursue your vision. And then also media exposure. Oftentimes, like other organizations that have an existing media presence, it's good to partner with organizations like that or organizations that have an incentive to share you guys around, whether it's for like social good or, whatever reasons. So you identify like what you need, and then you identify what organizations fall into the category of like being able to get you what you need, and then you just back channel to try to get in touch with those organizations. So I already have like a pretty strong network across like crypto, government, etc. in these two different regions, and I also know a lot of people that have connections in other regions that are doing similar things. So it's basically that. It's like identify what you want, back channel to get there, essentially.
Perfect. And then, Poker Freak, I would say we'll skip your question for now regarding institutions because later in this presentation, I'll be covering, um, basically that question in terms of how ready institutions would be to deploy their capital into crypto. Jack, let's see. What are your thoughts about the progression Aquari has made in the past months? For us as outsiders, we get lots of news about going places, going to meetings, but what is it like to see it from within? So yeah, they want you to see what Mache and I have been doing from your eyes, and
Mm.
yeah, now us together as a team.
So I want to like I something comes to mind in particular, which is there was this conversation I was having with Cameron some weeks ago where he was like, "How do you think we're doing compared to like most startups?" And I'm like, you guys are probably like top 10% or something like that. And I'm talking like I don't know, teams in general, like as far as execution. And Cameron's like, what? Like I thought, other guys are so smart, other guys are doing so much better. And it's like, oh my God, you guys do not know like what other teams are doing. The reason that I'm so excited about this, the whole team, everything, is because you guys are actually doing shit. And it's the evidence in that is what's happening on the ground. It's the pictures, it's the stories, it's all of this. And yeah, like there's a lot of work that happens in meetings and strategies and whatever, but any if you go look at any startups, I'll tell you it's mostly meetings and strategies and doing shit like that. And maybe coding a bit, but they don't have the outcomes. And the difference here is there are real outcomes. And that's the remarkable part, I would say. So they're doing a great job. And it's been insane to see the progress, really. And it's just getting faster. Like I've seen that just in the past 6 months. It's just like speeding up, like exponential curve, basically.
We are
Next
doing
question.
we are
Oh,
doing
go ahead.
great.
Do you want to read that, Mache?
Which do you want to go for?
By the orange tea icon.
Orange the icon. If I understand you correctly, Kirsten, we are on the beginning of something very big. If you would look ahead for 5 years, what do you expect where Aquari stands? Basically, where do you see Aquari going in 5 years from now?
Yeah. So basically just seeing this model sort of replicated around the world, essentially. So the Nigeria project was basically the first example of a playbook that's being developed for how you actually take on these contracts, how you organize workforces, how you deal with like logistical difficulties on the ground, et cetera, et cetera. And this is something that through the learnings on the ground can basically be like templatized and then brought to cities everywhere, countries everywhere. So that's one thing. I see that scaling and being very powerful. But then also there's a lot of other like very interesting like sectors and areas of business that open up once you can solve for like trash logistics and stuff like that. And I think Cameron's also going to be maybe talking a little bit about some of that stuff later. I'm not sure. But you know, a lot of this is it's sort of up to the strategic decisions of the team. But basically, what I see is like the scaling of this model through like sort of templatizing the Nigeria cleanup, as well as expansion to other sectors as well.
Beautiful. And then, Masha, this is, I believe, for you. Can we talk about the carbon credit sales and how this would be implemented to generic corporations that think all crypto? Actually, you know what? Let's hold that question, Jack, because I believe this would be a good question to have at the end of the presentation, because there's something that I mentioned in this presentation that talks exactly on that. And then we can have Masha come in with the carbon credits specifically at that point. So next question, do you think we should try to time the market, or could we possibly go against the trend if the crypto market keeps bleeding and whatnot?
Well, I would say it depends on what you mean by time the market. Obviously, the token is already live, so it's like it's not like we're planning a token sale or anything. I would say, generally speaking, timing the market, um, like
I think what they mean is like, I'm so sorry to interrupt, Chris. I think what they mean is more so, do they think that, you know how all crypto assets are like correlated and they move with the market, like the crypto market spacing? Do they think that Aquari as an asset could decouple from that trend? Because, you know, for example, we have government, the contracts, revenue, etc. Like,
So I would argue that based on what I've seen, it already is kind of decoupled. Like compared to almost every asset that I have seen, Aquari has been comparatively more stable as an alt. And this is because of the government contracts and the revenue and all of this, right? Because unlike a lot of tokens, Aquari is an actual business. So there are actual fundamentals behind the token. So that means that, you know, aside from like whatever normal market pressures, theoretically there should be a gradual price appreciation. So usually what happens with market cycles is tokens, they go crazy for a while. There's a lot of pump, and then at the end of a market cycle, things will dump. So like obviously, especially with a lot of new capital coming in, as Aquari gets more noticed, and as like we enter a new market cycle, there is going to be more price movement, more volatility, etc. But I don't know, like when we're talking about just like fundamentals of a business or like stock investment, if you see a business that you think is going to be profitable and you think is going to be doing well, it's like if you invest in it, you just invest in it, right? Versus trying to like time things specifically. Another weird thing with the crypto market now is like the crypto market as a whole has sort of stopped behaving in its normal pattern, like that it has over the past however many years. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. So again, like trying to time that is also like not the greatest idea in my opinion. I don't know.
beautiful. Thank you so much for this amazing Q&A session, Kirsten. The community really appreciates it. We appreciate it. And Aquarians, we're going to change the world. So we are an enhanced team now. Okay, Masha, let's get back to the presentation slides. And I can move through that.
Okay, we are on Aquari. What is coming?
Yes, guys. So now let's get it going. So I just want to clarify a few things. You know what? Since Q3, there were a lot of things that were on the main roadmap that were promised, but have not been executed yet. And the reason for that has been because it was time for us to strategically actually network. You know, in order to make the overall grand timeline, we needed to actually expose ourselves. And as we exposed ourselves more, there were many physical events that we basically needed to attend. And Mache, Kirsten, and I, we're glad we attended those events because we met key individuals who will be able to help us execute our overall vision. Key individuals I'll share with you later in this presentation. But now that that networking circuit has kind of tapered off, and Mache is back in Poland, I'm back in the United States, we were able to actually go back and fully manage the production roadmap of like Aquari. So basically, think everything that was on the main app development roadmap that was supposed to be done in Q4, just push that back to now. Okay, so as a reminder, here's what's happening. So I'm pleased to announce that we all talked about, oh, when are the protocol fees going to be re-enabled? As you know, we re-enabled that. We disabled that temporarily when we deployed first part of V2 on base. And we said that this would be re-enabled later this year originally. Well, good news, the development for the V2 protocol fees is finished. That hot fix has been patched by our developers. Key thing, one of the reasons why our burn rate has actually increased is that Mache and I brought on external development help. So that is 100% good. So this allows us to actually multitask now. We're able to actually push forward on the development roadmap while actively networking. So this is why that exponential curve in terms of pacing has been able to happen that Kirsten mentioned earlier. But I am pleased to announce that the development for the protocol fees has been finished. It's pretty much ready to deploy. It's just the holiday season right now, and you know when everyone's enjoying family, we don't want to have a whole chaos of what's going on. So the thing is we'll either deploy this New Year's week, or if that's a bit too busy, expect the first 2 weeks of January. Holders who stake their Aquari will actually be able to capture the redistribution fees that are taken. And this is based on your percent ownership, just as before. The only difference from the old tokenomics is that every transaction is taken with a fee. But in the old tokenomics, every holder magically, automatically was able to capture their percentage of the fees. But now, if you want to actually earn, uh, yeah, your share of the fees based on the percent of your ownership, you should stake your Aquari. So that is a key design change because we want only people that are long term aligned with the protocol to actually be able to monetize off of that. And the burn will be reactivated as that is a fee. So that temporary disable that we've been doing for the past 8 months, that's gone. So if you want to load up, you should load up now, or say hi to the fees. Yeah. So Aquari App Store release. Yes, that was also on the roadmap for Q3. So as promises before, we're going forward with Google Play and App Store for European market release and American market release. We only had the deployment on the Nigerian region due to testing the actual app. As you can see, this picture on the right is actually from the cleanup, one of the users using it. So again, this was originally delayed due to our networking sprint. And then the ability for our European and American citizens to cash out their acquired to their bank account will be enabled. We rolled this out to our Nigerian and Pakistani users first to test the labor side of the coordination, but now we want our supporters to be able to aim for that benefit as well. So again, it's the holiday season right now. We'll roll out some of these updates, which we can, but coming into January, you should see a huge inflow of everything because Mache and I are pretty much full on focus with the production timeline now. Okay, next slide.
Yep. Actually, notable people encountered.
Yes, yeah. So now we get into some notable people encountered. So again, this is not the full list. This is just a list of people that I can already share concrete alignment with right now. But Sarah is still working with the people we met with our UN and UNICEF networks. And so there will be a later AMA where that institutional pipeline is discussed. So first individual I met, and just to give you background, these individuals were met at a event hosted by the Nobel family in at Miami Art Basel. So Sarah Mache and I attended the Nobel Sustainability Trust Summit, and that is the family that gives the Nobel Prize. They basically have an annual summit where they discuss who should be awarded, et cetera, and key individuals in their ecosystem that should gain recognition. And it's a big networking event. We were able to meet an individual from Trump's environmental task force out there. I'll share more information on that next AMA. But today I want to focus on Mr. Dennis O'Connell, who is the president of ERC 3643 Association. So, for those of you that don't know, ERC 3643 is a standard for regulatory compliant permission tokens. And what Dennis and his team is building very special is that they met with the United States SEC Crypto Task Force 5 months ago to discuss, hey, the SEC and the US government, especially with Trump accelerating the timeline in terms of crypto adoption, they basically want to fast track um, standards so that institutions can properly deploy their institutional capital. Because as institutions manage endowments, they manage many things that cannot tolerate risk and whatnot. And in terms of United States SEC regulations, um, it is very important for tokens to be permissioned and in order to comply to the standard. So in the US, you need to be an accredited investor. Right now, because with DeFi and regular ERC 20 standards, uh, yeah, we don't have that. So yes, we believe the opposite. We believe in permissionless, and Aquari is permissionless. What I want to state here is this is not what I am about to talk about is not transitioning Aquari specifically into becoming ERC 3643, but I will be talking about. He gave an interesting way for us to improve our business that I'll talk about on the next slide. And Aquari will be able to actually issue out. We still have the main Aquari token, but there are other tokens that could be issued by Aquari that are ERC 3643 standardized. And yeah, this is important because at the end of the day, this industry is maturing and securitized token standards are coming. And if we want to stay ahead, we need to be able to have a game plan for that. Another fun fact about Dennis is he created one of the first on-chain investment banks, Senfi, which manages over $25 million. And the picture on the right is him and his team with the official United States SEC Crypto Task Force. So next slide. So when talking with Dennis, they're at lunch at the Nobel Sustainability Trust event. Then I went into the Aquari model and our business model in detail with him. And we just had about a whole hour of brainstorming. And after he understood the entire Aquari business model, he actually gave a recommendation. He basically said, he's like, do you really think that the majority of the value you create for society is just in the government contracts? I was like, yes, the waste management. He's like, no, the biggest value you create, is not the contract value in terms of managing the waste. The biggest value that you actually provide is that your cleanups actually improve the value of the underlying land, because where are we doing cleanups, guys? Are we doing cleanups in the middle of nowhere? I mean, we do sometimes, but most of our cleanups have been in urban populated areas and often capital cities, the most populated cities with the highest real estate prices on the planet. And there are, as you can see in the picture on the right, there is a whole villa where there was a retired Nigerian judge right next to this land right here. So this is high valuable land that we're cleaning, and land that would have reduced value with either due to degradation of infrastructure or also due to the scale of the environmental concerns. So what he recommended was that if you want to turbocharge your business model, he recommends that Aquari should tokenize land post cleanups as a real world asset. Doing so using ERC's 3643 would allow Aquari to access institutional capital from investment bankers and other sophisticated investors once SEC updates regulations, which is coming in the coming years. So what he was specifically interested in, because he has an investment banking background, he was interested in the creation of a novel asset category. But that's what crypto is going to be marketed as to these institutions. Is there are specific investment vehicles that can give good returns that crypto enables that otherwise would have been impossible. And he was interested in Aquari being a spearheaded leader in on-chain remediated impact real estate. So again, this was actually a big thing because now, for example, instead of having to do a model where we are living from contract to contract, instead, for example, you see this land right here. What we could do is, since tokenization allows for fractional ownership, what we could actually do now is actually negotiate with locals, talk, offer to clean, we can clean, and then through our standard be able to actually acquire land into our portfolio, securitize that so the original owner still has exposure, but they have a liquid exit. Community can actually, our laborers that help clean can actually buy in, get percentage of ownership in exchange for their labor for cleaning that. And then we can offer that, we could securitize that using ERC 3643 as a real world asset, which then Dennis and his associates could wrap into an asset, an investment bank asset to push onto institutions to deploy their capital to beat inflation. So the thing here is now there's obviously a lot of details that have to be ironed out because there's the value of, okay, how much trash cleanups have. But the thing is remember, our platform isn't just need to be done for cleanups. It can be done for any sort of gig work. So for example, we could use this gig work platform to actually plant trees, do the proper maintenance of the land, et cetera, to be able to hire contractors to actually install certain infrastructure. You know how this electrical pole fell when we were at the cleanup? Like Aquari used our platform to actually get licensed electricians associated with the government to actually get paid at a cheaper price to put up those electrical posts. So we're already experimenting with like infrastructure projects. So for example, basically what he's pitching is we go do cleanups and do a little bit of real estate remediation, and then maybe a tiny bit of land preparation, and then boom, now developers can come in and develop in that prime real estate and whatnot. But again, that is that was something he talked about. A lot of details have to be ironed out, but I want to share that with you because that is something that completely gives us a game changer. The reason it's a game changer is because now the business model would be, for example, you could have an Aquari special purpose vehicle attached with whatever investment bank, etc. And the investment bank would facilitate, hey, Aquari does impact real estate. They use their gig economy platform to be able to remediate land. That's going to give you your alpha on your real estate portfolio. They're raising $20 million. Okay. Institutions could put that out. They're going to deploy $20 million. Now Aquari gets $20 million. And now we have that money to actually deploy, acquire properties, paid for the cleanups, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Boom, 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 boom. And however we want to allocate the real estate property value being transitioned into protocol, et cetera, whatever. So this creates a lot of revenue options for revenue and a lot of ways for Aquari to actually create a lot of value going forward. So this is something we're thinking of. Details have not been ironed out, but over the next year, I would say that we definitely will be thinking. He put real world assets on the map, and the fact is, we're working with the physical world. We should figure out a strategy on how to not only leverage contracts, but also leverage the actual land that we're improving, So that was the discussion with Dennis. Okay, so that for all the people that have the institutional questions, that should open the floodgates for that. And the reason why ERC 3643 is important is because institutions won't be pouring capital into ERC 20 tokens, But at the same time, we want acquired organization to be permissionless. So again, we're staying ERC20, but that does not mean that through our cleanups, we can have the sub assets in our protocol that are ERC3643 compliant and expose those to institutions and relay whatever funds back into the permissionless protocol as revenue whenever exits happen. So that is the institutional grade plan. Next slide. So also another key individual that the team met while at the Nobel Sustainability Trust is, honestly, I think we're the luckiest people on the planet, guys. So we met Maciej. Can you please pronounce that name? I do not want to do disservice to great Poland.
His name is Tomasz Stańczak.
Yes. So Thomas, at the middle of the event, it was time to actually have lunch, and I decided to just sit at a random table. I went with the gut, just follow the wind. And Maciej sat at a different table. Sarah sat. We decided to cover much ground, and what ended up happening is, while sitting at the table I sat at, ended up bonding with a cool individual over some StarCraft. StarCraft is a video game, etc. We're bonding, blah blah blah. Talked about Aquari, etc. There's a lot of interest, and at the end, we ended up exchanging contact information. He gave his name, and he said his name is Thomas. I was like, Thomas, where have I seen that name before? Where have I seen that name? I've seen that name somewhere. And yeah, where you see that name, if you look on the pictures on the right, this is the organization chart of the Ethereum Foundation. And if you look on the far right, you'll see that Thomas is the co-executive director for the Ethereum Foundation. So yeah, we made connection, etc. He wants to learn more about Aquari. So we all core team made contact with Thomas, and conversation is ongoing. He's learning about Aquari, etc. He's asking questions. Nothing has been promised. I want to clarify that to you guys. This is the Ethereum Foundation here. I just want to say that we've met. We've talked. He's learning about Aquari, but nothing has been promised. So keep your speculation at bay, please. But yeah, so I think the future is bright. And the thing is Thomas was actually traveling with Dennis. And when you put together, why would these two be traveling together? It's because, yes, of course, the Ethereum Foundation is pushing real world assets. And obviously, you need an institutional influx of capital for the on-chain ecosystem to grow. So obviously they're traveling the world together in order to make sure that gets pushed and whatnot, so that there's a compliant way for institutions to deploy capital into the Ethereum ecosystem, et cetera, et cetera. And I believe that since Mr. Dennis here is already interested in Aquari, I believe, and also for our own interests, we should look into having a real world asset game plan. And Maciej, Sarah, Kirsten, and I together will be thinking about that, and we'll be able to roll out a plan for you sometime in 2026 when regulations pull through and whatnot. But yeah, I would say that is key stuff. Now, next slide. So those of you are asking questions, we promised you guys a while back about our X promotion. So the thing is this is the X promotion with 4 million followers. You're wondering when exactly the X promotion happened. It was originally intended for the Christmas season, but I want to say that we've decided to push this back to January. This is because, given the discussions and given everything that's happened, market is slow at this time of year. So why would we go out and launch a really big promotion when everyone is having time under the Christmas tree, focusing on family? I think it would be really unhealthy if people were looking at the markets instead of spending time with their amazing children and parents during this time of the year. So yes, I will say we are going to push this back, but we're pushing this to January. Okay, we're at home. We're pushing forward on the roadmap. We're focused. I know you guys had a couple months this quarter without getting much consistent updates because Maciej and I were out on the field. But I just want to let you know that, again, when you're networking, you can't just meet someone, they tell you something, and then you just or instantly as an influencer go relay out to your community, it's like it's bad optics. It's not professional. You don't know what pressures they have in their own organizations or what they represent. So please bear with us. But the team will activate the post as soon as the market regains momentum in January when people are focusing. And if you look at historical market trends, markets on average tend to pick up around that time. So yes, guys. Okay, next slide. Any
Next,
questions? Now we can do true questions.
yeah, we also believe January is much better for the post because people are not going to be preoccupied with Christmas, and yeah, it's in general much better placement for that, time placement for that. And yeah, then like you mentioned, market right now is rocky, so it's going to be much better to postpone it. I mean, not even postpone it because it's like almost January right now. But simply push it after the Christmas.
Come on, guys. You haven't seen our beautiful faces in a couple months. I know you guys have a bunch of questions.
I just wanted to say it's really cool that you guys hired electrical workers also on the platform. I didn't know that that's how you fixed the poll.
Oh yeah, we had to we had to engage with local government at this level too, because the entire basically section of electrical grid had to be cut off to prevent any potential accident. And yeah, we basically had to hire electrical engineers to once again reconnect that. And obviously standard engineer, because that's a pole and that needs to go deep enough in the soil to prevent any potential tipping in the future. So that was another saga, you could say.
What about the vulnerability of the team? Suppose in the worst case, Mache or Cameron drops out. What happens to? You have to answer that question, Mache. I feel like that's a question up for you.
Uh, now Aquari is being introduced to the world and potential of Aquari is enormous. What about the vulnerability of the team? Suppose in the worst case, Maciej or Cameron drops out. What happens to Aquari then? How is all the knowledge secured? Basically, internal team knows that I'm sort of Aquari archivist. So I'm preserving all the knowledge on external NAS server, and alongside all the documentation, we just to make it perfectly clear, none of us plans to drop out, but obviously you cannot predict all the scenarios that can happen. But we have contingencies in place for any possible scenario happening. For example, me falling ill or Cameron falling ill. So in case I'm gonna knock over that, but in case that happens, we have all the data needed to continue operational processes as basically seamless transition.
Yes, and let's see. There'll be multiple posts. So right now it's just one. It's one thread on X, and we'll have to see how that performs. That's how the relationship can go from there. how is it going now with the place cleaned up? Are the containers in place as of now and whatnot? So with the Mabushi cleanup, so the first stage is obviously cleaning up, but then now there comes the maintenance aspect. So right now we're in talks with the Abuja Environmental Protection Board on discussing the what they call the exit plan. The exit plan is okay, now that the trash has been exited, okay, how do you make sure that it stays exited? You know, so maintenance and whatnot. So since we were in Buenos Aires and Miami, we didn't have the time to focus on that. But now that we're back and settled, this is one of the things we're talking with them and ironing out. And Danny will be has been managing the relationship with them still to this day. And yes,
And
January is better.
also, I had a call with village chief recently. He is extremely grateful for everything we did and all the help we provided to the village. And he already offered himself to provide vigilantes and protection to the site to prevent illegal dumping and all the other, like, you could say, illegal activity, because people already know that this is some sort of illegal dump site that you don't have to pay for, so we have to protect it. But village chief is so grateful that he doesn't want us to do all the work, and he's already basically deploying vigilantes on the spot to have that place secured.
Exactly. And then during the presentation in Buenos Aires, they showed the app. Was there any reference to you afterwards, or did anyone from the audience ask what it was? So yes, we did have a presentation in Buenos Aires. Uh, Jason Chaskin from the Ethereum Foundation did present and showcase the app on stage. So that is a congratulatory moment. And yes, we're still in contact with him. Was there any reference to you afterwards, or did anyone from the audience ask what it was? So the way they had it wasn't a style where there would have been a Q&A and whatnot. So people are aware. And the thing is what ended up happening is actually Mache, you can talk about how when you went to certain other events after that, after Jason gave the presentation, how people came up to you about knowing Aquari.
Yeah, that was actually quite surprising, because that was basically end of event, and it wasn't even like pitching the idea to them. So we've been basically talking, making connections, making friends for future. And after we started exchanging contacts, they noticed the co-founder of Aquari in my bio on Telegram, and they are, wait a minute, wait, do you, and they started searching that on Google, and they are, this Aquari? And I'm like, yeah, this project. Why? Oh, my team leader sent us a memo about you guys and amazing job you are guys doing, etc. Wait here a second. I need to call over my guys. And then he brought a few guys from his team, and they were like, oh my goodness, you are this Aquari guy. And that interaction was so wholesome, so amazing, that it really like showcases how people in crypto view us right now. But the problem we have is basically exposure and exposition in the media. So that's definitely something we need to work on. But yeah, absolutely, like, people fully love the project. At least from what I can tell. Kirsten also can chime in, because she was also there, so she can get.
Yeah, true story. I saw it happen.
Yeah, she can.
They were fanboying.
Yeah, they were absolutely fanboying at that point. And after we left the place, because there was like event after party, I kept being like totally swarmed, and like they were like trying to chime in into, oh, you can we can cooperate on that, we can cooperate on that, we can cooperate on that, etc. It was absolutely amazing interaction with them. like shout out to the entire team there because they were amazing people.
Yes. And you said, Cedric, you'd like to hear how stories from Africa went, what hurdles were encountered, how were they overcome. That's going to make future cleanups in the third world countries easier. So, right now, we have a whole film being produced. So there's actually a move. It's a 10 minutes. There's a 2 minute shortcut that's going to be attached to the X post promotion, so that people it's full cinematography, like acquire the beginning level cinematography, but with our own assets, not a lot of B roll. So that's being production. I know it was like, okay, we did the cleanup, and then okay, what about where's the story, guys? How come you're not? It's like we're working on it, but we really think that the Aquari brand really conveys its message best through cinematography. And obviously, you can't make, you know what I mean, like a movie with high production value just in 2 days. So that's what's happening. So, Cedric, to answer that, if you want to know everything that happened and whatnot, we have a whole like 10-minute documentary with high production value being produced as we speak. And we're actually, you'll be able to see a 2 minute cut of that when our X promotion goes live and whatnot. Let's see. And as Kirsten mentioned earlier, it's going to be really crazy because you're going to see people praying for Aquari. Like, again, there's one woman, her husband died a couple years ago from cholera from this pile. So there's like actual lives are being saved. A lot of people say impact this, impact that, but when we were there, it's like, yes, no, this pile has like a spiritual death aura with it. It's like taking lives. So we're gonna see that, and we're gonna blast that. We're gonna blast that out. How does the team plan on implementing ERC 3643 to Aquari? So, like I said, that's going to be decided, but that's all in discussion. But what I can tell you is that 100% no, the Aquari's main token will not be ERC 3643 because in the US, you need to be an accredited investor to even invest into certain like assets. Okay. And if ERC 3643 is a basic way to basically those regulations make that compliant on chain. And what that would mean is basically if we made main acquire ERC 3643, that would mean you guys as regular investors cannot, if you don't, you don't, in the US to be an accredited investor, you have to have like a minimum net worth of like a couple $100,000. So, and like other requirements. So that would mean you guys can't even invest in Aquari. So that's not permissionless. That's not what crypto's for. And that's not what we're trying to build here. So, no, the main coin will be ERC20. We still have a permissionless architecture. It's that the DAO that we have can issue out sub tokens underneath the main acquire. Like as part of our ecosystem, you have the flagship acquire token, and down here there are sub assets represented by each cleanup that we do. That would be ERC 3643. Okay. And depending on the plan, we could have the DAO own percentage of that. So that way the community has a percent ownership of that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't want to talk about this right now because everyone's just going to keep asking so many questions, but we will tell you that we will come out with specifics in regards to that in the coming months as these conversations come to fruition. But I just wanted to outline to you guys the direction in which we're looking. So, yes. Looking forward to the interview. So you're not Manche. You are not a Corey Manche. So yeah, guys. Manche, Kirsten, is there anything you'd like to add? I think they have finished the questions.
I just wanted to say thanks for having me. Glad to be here. Excited to see you all more soon and share some exciting updates.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's our pleasure. And thanks for being there with us today. If you
Okay,
guys
take
have,
care, everyone.
yeah, if you guys have any other question, we can wait like 2 more minutes, and if not, we can wrap it up.
You know, Kirsten said the same thing, Annaluz. Yes, yes, we need more. We're older now, so yes. I've been in the basement too much, so I haven't gotten many new photos, but we'll have a new photo shoot for that.
Okay, so thank everyone, guys. Thank you
Oh,
for
wait. No. There was the carbon credits from earlier that I deferred.
oh.
So this
Mhm.
is half Cameron, half Mache. I'll say the Cameron part first, and then Mache can go into the credits. So since Mr. Dennis out here has a whole protocol that would allow the DAO to basically issue out properly compliant, regulatory compliant tokens, real world assets. Okay, so I give you the whole real estate example. The same thing can be done with carbon credits and whatnot, and give institutions exposure to carbon credits. So Machi can talk about the carbon credits, but that is why ERC 3643 is important.
Have you finished?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. And obviously not all of the areas are going to be fully usable for development, etc. And we can use those area, for example, like like beaches around the rivers, etc., to to start the process of integrating plants that going to be extremely carbon consuming. CO2 basically, like removing CO2 from the atmosphere. From what I remember, mangroves are also amazing in that regard. And obviously, it's a long process because the carbon credit markets are extremely decentralized right now. As far as I know, basically every single country has a different market for that, and some processes can get extremely convoluted. But we definitely are going to hire external auditor to actually verify the creation of carbon credit. And yeah, we're gonna use the land and to actually be able to claim those credits. For example, like there are many projects we cannot have, like seagrass restoration, like coastal ecosystems restorations, because all of them are extremely efficient at consuming CO2 from the atmosphere, and yeah, basically removing that from the emissions from the atmosphere, basically. Yeah.
All in all, the main takeaway is that in order to get the benefits from carbon credits, whether it be real estate, you need plumbing to connect what's the on-chain world with the real world. And what we just announced here, it would be that infrastructure. But again, that needs to be ironed out. We're still waiting. We got to see what the regulations are. But obviously, people are in talks, and we are basically looped in. We're going to be one of the first people knowing what's going to happen in regards to that. So we'll prep for that.
Yeah, we sort of deferred that process because of everything happening right now. And yeah, we put it a little bit further on our roadmap, but it's 100% being introduced and implemented as well. And yeah, of course, when we have fully developed the technology on our app site, etc., we are going to R&D the most efficient processes to be able to claim as many carbon credits as possible.
And then Ant, you asked, is the portion that gets staked always 3% distributed amongst all stakers? If so, could that mean that the effective percentage is higher than your ownership share, since presumably not everyone's... Yes, that's exactly the point, is that we want to reward long-term aligned Aquarians, okay, and not people that are short-term aligned. We want our asset to have real demand. So yes, you would be able to capture a higher effective percentage than your ownership share if you're willing to stake your Aquari. You know, you don't have to stake your Aquari, but if you want to capture those, then you need to. So yes, guys. Okay, guys, we don't want to take you out too late. Thank you so much for coming out today, and I hope you have a good evening. Manchi and I will be in the main chat for another hour to answer any further questions that you guys have, and we will bring Sarah in on the next AMA.
And obviously, happy Christmas, guys. And once again, Kirsten, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all.
Yes,
see you later.
thank you, Kirsten.
Bye, guys.
Take care, guys, and see you on during the next AMA.